My name is Tobin Ortenblad. I'm from Santa Cruz, California, and race for Santa Cruz Donkey Label Racing. I'm here at Valmont Bike Park in Boulder, Colorado for the US Open of Cyclocross this weekend. Last season, I had an injury about halfway through the year, maybe 3/4 of the way through the year. I broke my collarbone at a local bike race, actually not even a big UCI race. That was my first kind of big break and injury. It ended the season early for me. I don't want to call it a big injury because I don't really feel like it was something that should be a setback. Maybe that's untrue. So broke that, recovered a bit, was feeling pretty fast and fit again in the early year, and then actually broke it again, the other side, which was also a very minor setback, no surgery. But yeah, I guess you could say I'm coming back from injury a little bit, but I don't want to use that as an excuse for anything. Don't call it a comeback. This question. Gravel is a thing. So is racing your bike and trying hard is still a thing that's important in my opinion. Gravel is super fun. It's infinitely accessible. You don't need you don't need much to go and have a good time at a gravel race. And I think the same is true in cyclocross. I just think that if you haven't raced or are new to it, gravel is easy to get into and it's a good time. The people at the front can take it super seriously and try to race and have, try to win the thing. And then everyone else can go out there, ride with their buddies, have a good time, eat some food, have a beer, whatever. Cyclocross is definitely different. It's definitely a race. You're not going out there to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna ride with my friends during a cyclocross race and have a good time and have some snacks. It's a different atmosphere for sure, but I don't think cyclocross is dead at all. I still think it's growing quite a bit. It's just, you're not seeing as much, you're seeing a lot of hype around a lot of gravel stuff right now. Yeah, Chris McGovern is my coach. Unconventional, I don't know if that's entirely the right word. I think he does things more from like a hands-on, and like you had a football coach, they study the tape, and then they run similar things. That's what we're gonna see. Chris might be a little less, hey, let's go hit all these power numbers all day, and more like, hey, this is what this race is gonna require, this is what cross is gonna require. Let's try to replicate these race feelings and efforts rather than working on a 20-minute threshold number. Yeah, some people would say it's a little different for sure. Got a power meter and everything. And we do use power meters. It's just, I think the way in which we use them is maybe a little bit different than going out to hit the numbers all day. Maybe, for example, cross is an hour race. It's not about who can ride tempo up the climb, the hardest and the longest. It's about maybe who can punch over 1,000 watts 30 times and then still be there at the end. So maybe your cross file, instead of like a road race, a cross file is gonna be like spike, recover, spike, recover, spike, recover. So we're probably looking more at how high are your spikes and how high is your recovery and how many times can you do that? And okay, you're here at the beginning, and did those efforts fall off a bit? Why'd they fall off? How can we keep that hit the same? Got a plane. Being a cyclocross athlete primarily, I also race road, mountain bikes, gravel, I do all that. Training for all that is not too complicated. Cross is obviously the focus, so we do everything to be good for cyclocross. Everything else is not as important, but there are some events we still want to do well at. So for the most part, we still do a base season, volume season, and then into that, throw in some mountain biking, some crits, some gravel, just throughout the year to keep building. And then ultimately though, we want to be at kind of peak fitness for cross, have some speed in the legs, some sharpness in the legs. And yeah, I think if you use these events at the right time, it's all pretty good for cyclocross. Most fun I had at a non-cross event this year was probably Lost and Found gravel race. It's just a good weekend. Everyone camps for the most part. There's a big party that night. The race is really fun. It's really pretty. It's like pretty low stress, but also, you want to go out there and win. So yeah, I always have a good time because up until the race, I'm pretty focused, want to do well, and then once race is done, it's like, okay, let's unwind, hang out with everybody, talk about how they did, how I did, tell stories, whatever. But yeah, Lost and Found is usually my favorite event of the year. Has been for the last couple of years. Yeah, SBT gravel I would love to go to. This year I would have probably been there, but it did Breck Epic, which would have been a lot of long, hard days going into that, and people did do that, so I guess that's not an excuse. But next year maybe skip Breck and just do the gravel, see what happens.
Watch out for that.
Yeah, everyone is riding big, fat, tubeless tires. I still prefer 33 millimeter tubulars. I also have to ride 33 mil tubulars. No, but I don't know. That's kind of what makes cross special to me, is like, who can go out on this bike that, you know, when you get off your mountain bike and you get on your cross bike for maybe the first time in a while, you're like, this bike is sketchy. Like, everything about it's sketchy. It's twitchy, it's unforgiving. The brakes are good now, disc brakes at least, but it's steep angles. And I think that's kind of what's cool about cross, is like, who can go the fastest on this really gnarly course with this kind of sketchy bike? Like, who can do it well and be fluid and ride this 33 millimeter tire that's kind of fickle? Yeah, that's kind of what makes cross special, is you have to have the fitness, but who can drive the bike really well on these courses? Pre-race routine, okay. Well, at a UCI race, a big important race that I'm, have traveled and, invested some time into, like, usually in the morning I'll get up, whatever time that is. Sometimes I set an alarm, sometimes I don't. Ideally get up, have a cup of coffee, ride the rollers for 30 or 40 minutes, just open up the legs a bit. Get off that, take a shower, eat breakfast, and usually there's a European cross race on, so watch that, and then chill for a while. Then usually Chris and I head out to the venue, practice laps, make sure things are totally laced up. Usually we've pre-rode the course the day before, so we already know it. But go out on race day, do a couple more laps, just seal the deal on everything, make sure tires are at the right pressure, make sure any lines are laced up, and then, yeah, hit the rollers again to warm up and race. Do I have a pre-race playlist that I want to tell people about? Yes, it varies. It's all over the place, but there's been a lot of metal on it recently, less electronic. There's been a lot of electronic on it in the past, but yeah, it's very dynamic. So what's on it right now would be an excellent question. It's been pretty hot out, so I've been spending less time on the rollers warming up and more time on the roads, which is probably less time with headphones in. But what are we liking? Red Fang, Run the Jewels, that's kind of hip hop, I guess. Space Nectar, I guess we're going back to the electronic stuff now. Bring Me the Horizon, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of them. That's really good pump up stuff. Yeah, so quite a bit of everything, actually. It's been a couple years since I've been out here in boulder racing at Valmont. So yeah, I'm excited to line up again this weekend and see you out there on race day.